Today it's going to be a new section. So when I talk about sections, I'm talking about these topics. So for each of these topics within this unit, so there's 9 that make up this first unit of analytical trig. So each of these topics itself has to have a minimum of 1 page. So it can be made up of instruction, assignment problems that you're working out, or quiz. So those are going to be your notes that you're going to need to turn in a minimum of 1 page into our Google Classroom at the end of the chapter. So when we're done with this whole chapter unit, when we're done with this, that's what I'm going to look for. And then I will open up your test so that you can take it. But I don't open up your test until you turn in your notes to me. All right, so law of sines is what we've been doing the past couple of days. We're on to law of cosines. So when we talk about the law of cosines, and I always emphasize on my law of sines, I needed a full set. So when we talk about law of cosines, we're going to focus on different information given to us in the triangles. And it's going to help us solve for the missing sides or missing angles like we were with our law of sines. So remember, law of sines, we used law of sines for our side angle triangles, and we also used it for our angle side triangles, and we used it for our SSA triangles. Now remember, this one was the one that was a pain in the SSA because it could have 0, 1, or 2 triangles. This is what they call the ambiguous case because there's different scenarios that go along with that special one. Well, when we talk about using the law of cosines, we would want to use the law of cosines if we're given all 3 sides of the triangle, or if we're given 2 sides and the angle that's between them. They call that the included angle. So what is the law of cosines? So it's one formula, but I'm going to write it a couple different ways to show you guys. So if I'm looking for a missing side in the triangle, I'm going to give you a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared minus 2bc sine of a. So this would be what I'd be using if I was looking for that missing side A. What if it's not the side A that I'm looking for and it's B? Well, then the formula would be b squared is equal to, and would be a squared plus c squared minus, so notice this is BC, so these are BC, so this is going to be 2AC, so AC, and then it's going to be sine of B. So if I'm looking for side B, I needed to know angle B. If I'm looking for side A, I need to know my angle A. Very similarly, C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB sine of C. These are all the same formula. It's just different ways to look at it. And you can see our first problem here is, well, what if it's not a triangle ABC and it's a different triangle? So you need to be able to recognize what those variables are, what are those placeholders are for those variables and the correlations. So my angle A would go with my side A. So look at these correlations. These values that are in the middle here are the 2 sides that you're not using. Very similarly, see if I could talk today, right? What if I want to look for my angle? What if I want to know what angle A is? Oh my goodness, you guys, I wrote all of this wrong. Forgive me, please. Thankfully, we didn't solve any of this. It's law of cosines, and I still had sine in my head. Don't make that mistake. That's probably one of the biggest mistakes I see you guys make is you write in sine, so you solve it using sine. These are all cosine. We're working on the law of cosine. Cosine. Don't make that mistake in your work. It is cosine. This is law of cosine. So these are all cosine. So if I want to solve for my angle, I would do cosine of A is equal to, and I could subtract over my b squared and my c squared, and then I would divide by my negative 2bc. I'm solving for that piece. But here's just written out for you guys, so you don't actually have to do this solving, although you could. But this is kind of a good little place. You could just kind of find them all on your paper in one little spot, all over 2bc. So cosine of b is equal to a squared plus c squared minus b squared. So it's minus the side that corresponds to the angle we're looking for, all over the first two values, so 2ac. So my cosine of c is going to be a squared plus b squared minus my c squared all over 2ab. So hopefully you guys could see the patterns there, because that's what's going to apply to our very first question. It says, what if we have triangle QRS? So where we have our corresponding sides, like we would here, where across from my angle A would be my side A, they're saying across from my angle Q would be my side Q. So select the following that would be true. Well, notice right away, if I'm looking for side A, then I have to have the angle A. So if I'm looking for side Q, I would have to have the angle Q. So this looks good so far. I could go back and check more, but this is Q and an R. That is definitely not going to be the case, because it would have to be Q as well. This is an R, which means this would be angle R for it to work, and that's not the case. So an R and an R, an S and S. Okay, so these look like they're going to be okay. Let me now check the inner pieces. So remember, if I'm looking for Q, then I need to know the other two sides. So my RS, and this would be RS. So if I'm looking for R, then this would be QS, and this would be my QS. So these are all looking great. If I'm looking for my side S, then I need to know QR, and these would be QR. So all three of these are correct. So being able to apply it when you don't have triangle ABC is important, because that's not always what they give you. All right. So my next question here says, why would the law of cosines be used to solve for B in the triangle below? Okay, well, let's go ahead. Let's label this A, B, C, because I want to show you guys why I emphasized your table of information. So then this is my side B, this would be my side A, and this is my side C. When I look at my table, I don't know what my angle A is. I know that my angle B is 36 degrees. I know that my side, I don't know my side C. So I have two unknown angles, which means I can't figure them out. If I had two known and I was missing just one, then remember we can add them together and subtract from 180. I know my side A is 7. I don't know my side B, and I know my side C is 3.5. So remember what I said about this idea of, if we're going to use the law of sines, I have to have a full set, the angle and the corresponding side. When I look here, I don't have that. That's not possible. I don't know what this B is, so I don't have a full set here. I can't solve it. Some of you guys go, well, what about Pythagorean theorem? No, I can't use Pythagorean theorem. Why? Yeah, because it's not a right triangle. That only works if you have a right triangle. This is not a right triangle. So I can't use the law of sines because I don't have a full set here. I would have to have a full set somewhere here, and we don't have that. That's when I know I need to use my law of cosines. Okay, so this one says, well, why is it the law of cosines? Well, let's look at what we're given. I was given a side, I was given an angle, and I was given a side. So this is what we would call an SAS triangle. SAS triangle. So over here, it says that we have an SAS, an SSA, SSS, or ASA. So which one of them matches? So I look at the given information and I go in order. Some of you guys go, well, how do I know it's not going to be an SSA? So SSA. So here's the thing with this, is that I can't skip an angle and a side altogether. It has to be clustered. So I can't go around this way because I would skip my angle and a side and then another angle before I got to it. So it doesn't work like that. I can go S and I could skip this angle to the side, but I can't skip an angle and a side together. Otherwise you're going the wrong direction. So again, this would read as an SAS, or of course you could read it SAS this way. Doesn't matter. So this is the correct answer. Again, if you guys have questions, make sure you're asking. I don't mind stopping, especially if I go too fast or if I make a silly mistake like writing sine instead of cosine. Let me know. This is important information. All right, backside. So what kind of other examples are you going to be given, or problems? So for this one, it says find the value of x. So here's my x. I know my side Z, I know my side Y, so I like to label my info. What do I have? Again, if I go and I set it up in my table, and again, this is in the next section, they're going to call it law of sines and cosine. So you don't know which one you're going to be using. So this is why I'm going to emphasize this. Obviously, if this is the cosine section, you're going to be focusing on your law of cosine. But again, in our next section, it's going to have a combination of both. So how do I know which one to use? So again, if this is 55 degrees, I know my Y is 5, I know my Z is 8. So I look here and I could see I don't have a full set, which means it's going to be a law of cosine. It is going to be a law of cosine. If I don't have a full set, it's going to be a law of cosine. All right, so I need to solve for x. And you don't even have to solve it all the way out. They just want the equation. So how do I know what it's going to be? Well, remember, it's x squared is equal. Now I use the two other sides. So it's a y squared plus a z squared minus 2, whatever these sides are, 2yz cosine of my angle of this side that I'm looking for. So x. I plug in all the values that I know. So I don't know my x squared. That's what I'm looking for. My y was 5. My z was 8 minus 2 times 5 times 8, and then it's going to be cosine of 55. And I look up here and I see, okay, it's going to be this one right here. We're done. You don't have to solve it. I want to take 1 second just to kind of solve this because I want to point out where your mistakes typically are. This right here is one piece. So if I was to put this in my calculator, I would go ahead and I would do my 5 squared plus my 8 squared, so that this piece right here would be my 89. And then I would do minus, this is all together. And often I see you guys do 89 and then you subtract your 2 times your 5 times your 8, which is 80. You subtract off 80 and then you times it by that. But this 80 is with your cosine of 55. This has to stay together. It's minus this value. So it would be my 89 minus 80 cosine of 55. So that has to stay together. That's one of your biggest mistakes. And so you could see then that x squared would equal 43.11. But remember, we don't want x squared. If I want x, then I would have to take the square root of my answer, and I would get that x is approximately 6.6. Now, it didn't ask to solve it. I just wanted to show you guys because we don't have very many problems that we're actually working all the way through, and those are your big calculator errors. So again, this is the coefficient of the cosine. And my last problem, these ones are hard for you guys to visualize and understand what's going on. So I really wanted to make sure that I do one of these problems with you guys. So it says 2 boats head out of port at 5 a.m. So I have 2 boats. Here they are. This is my port. And they're going to leave at 5 a.m. It says one travels north 60 degrees east at 12 miles per hour, and the other travels south 68 degrees east at 8 miles per hour. And some of you are like, oh, I don't know, what does that mean? So obviously we have our directional. Let me just kind of remind you, north, east, south, west. Okay, so my first boat, here's what it says. One travels north 60 degrees east. So it's going to travel north, and then it's going to go towards the east, which is over here to the right, 60 degrees. So it's north, and then I go my 60 degrees towards the east. So it's talking about this path right here. So it's traveling right along here. This is going to be north, 60 degrees east. Okay, very similarly, this one here goes south, 68 degrees east. So instead of going up, it's going down, so south, and it's still going to the east. So if it said to the west, I would go over here to the left. If it goes to the east, I go towards the direction of the east, and it says 68 degrees. So I would go something like this, where this value right here is 68 degrees. Obviously, I'm approximating. So the second boat would be going along this path here. So again, this is south, 68 degrees east. So that's the hardest part for you guys. So then it says, to the nearest mile, how far apart are they at 8:30 a.m.? So it wants to know, okay, well, where are they? How far apart are they at 8:30 a.m.? So they left at 5 and now at 8:30 a.m., how far apart are they? So how long have they traveled for? Well, they've traveled for 3.5 hours, right? Okay, so I need some information here. First off, I need to know, well, how far did this boat travel in that 3.5 hours? That's my first problem. I need to know how far have they traveled because I don't know any of these measurements of this triangle, do I? So I need to figure out some things. I'm looking for this side right here. This is my side that I'm looking for. That's what I want to know. But what I need to figure out then is what are some of the angles or some of the sides? I need more. So my easiest thing for me to figure out, and I can easily identify, is this piece right here. I know what that angle is. Some of you guys, if you know what that angle is, well, yeah, because this angle plus this angle plus this angle have to make that straight line of 180, right? So I know then my 60 degrees plus my 68 degrees, which is 128. These two angles are going to add up to 128. And this middle angle is going to be 180 minus that 128, which is going to give me 52 degrees. So this angle right here is 52 degrees. I got one piece done. Now, I can easily find two other pieces too, but this builds on prior knowledge. And again, this is sometimes where it's tough because we don't think about, well, what do I know? How do I figure this out? Because they didn't just say, hey, use this equation or remember your distance formula, which is your big hint right now. So my distance is going to equal rate times time. So my question is, well, if I've traveled for 3.5 hours and this boat goes at 12 miles an hour, so this boat's traveling at 12 miles an hour, well, how far have they gone? Where are they at here? That's what I need to figure out. So if I'm talking about the distance from my boat one, it has a rate at 12 miles per hour. Sorry, you guys can't see that. It has a rate of 12 miles per hour times that time, which we said is 3.5 hours. That's how long it's been traveling. And that's going to be 42. That's going to be 42. So this is going to be a distance of 42 miles. Very easy to find that other one now, huh? Now you're just like, okay, I got this. I can find that other one because it's going to be my rate, which was at 8 miles an hour times my 3.5 hours. And that's going to be a value of 28. So this other boat has traveled 28 miles per hour. All right, so I found information. Remember, I need to have at least 3 pieces. So for any of them, I need at least, remember, we need to know a side angle, side, 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 whatever they have, whether it's law of sines or cosine, I had to have 3 pieces. So I can see I have 3 pieces here. So I need to go ahead and solve for this. And if you guys like, which a lot of you guys do, I could label this A, B, C. So then this would be my side B. This is my side A, my side C. So when you go and you actually look for your information, you know what you have. This is a law of cosine, so I'm not going to bother setting up my other piece of information just for time. So I'm looking for my side A. So that's going to be A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. Be careful you don't write sine. It's sometimes you guys just get in the habit of writing sine because that's the one you guys learn first. It's the one you guys prefer because it's usually easier for you. So now I fill in all my awesome information that I know because I know my side B is 28 squared plus my side C is 42 squared minus 2 times 28 times 42 times my cosine of 52 degrees. I go to my wonderful calculator. I usually do this together, so I'll just type in 28 squared plus 42 squared, and I get 2,548 minus, again, remember that I said that this is the coefficient. So I like to kind of just write that out and simplify it so you guys usually make less mistakes. So it's 2 times my 28 times my 42, which is going to be 2,352 cosine of 52. So I'm not subtracting just these two values. It's my 2548 minus this whole piece. So if I want to, I could plug that in my calculator and I could do, okay, times my cosine of 52. So it's going to be my 2548 minus 1,448, and that's a 0.0, rounds to a 0 there. And then I could just take my 2548 and I could subtract my answer, and I end up with a squared is going to be equal to 1,100, but I want a, not a squared. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the square root of my answer, and that gives me that a is approximately 33 miles. A lot of times they're going to round to the nearest mile. There is a problem in there that I had another student already come across. So let me just kind of point it out really quick. It was on one of them, the instruction pieces, and it says round your answer to the nearest angle, and it was the measure of angle B. So this is in your work. So it says for angle B, and it says round, and your answer should be 82 degrees, but the answer that they actually is correct is 81 degrees. It's not really correct, it's just what they have. So it should be this, but don't type that in. You want to use this. This is correct. This is the correct answer, but they did not round it correctly. They even tell you to round to the nearest whole number. They did not round correctly. So if you plug in 82, which you should get, it will be wrong. So use your 81 degrees. I believe it's in the assignment. So when you see 82, you should know which one it is, what problem I'm talking about. But it's solving for a SAS triangle. So this is in, I believe, the instruction today. So it is a mistake in there. Unfortunately, I can't go and change it and fix it. Do I have any other questions before you guys go today?